question, like.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew. I'm an MBA 2 at Ross, originally from Los Angeles, and a co-founder of B School Travel.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dale. I'm also a second-year student at Ross, originally from Chicago, have a background in engineering, and really came to Ross to focus on entrepreneurship, and also a co-founder at B School Travel.
And I'm Shovik. A lot of you can see me because I'm behind the camera, but I'm gonna be in the view really quickly. I'm an MBA 1 at Ross, and I've had the opportunity to work with these guys for a while now. So yeah, this is a great opportunity to learn more about the school, how to get in, and what to do once you do. Dale and Dhruv, you guys are both gunning for entrepreneurship. How's that like?
To be honest, it's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of ups and downs. It's a roller coaster, and we love that. The biggest thing for us is, it's easy to get sucked into recruiting when all your friends are doing it, but having someone you can rely on to hold you accountable and just reflecting on what your true goals are makes it a lot easier to do.
Yeah, and I'll add that for both of us, we saw business school as almost a risk-free environment over the next 2 years, or I guess 1 year left now, to really jump into entrepreneurship and try to start a business. And if we fall flat on our face and it doesn't work out, we're going to fall back on a degree from a top 10 business school university, and we'll be able to still recruit for some of those corporate jobs. But like, why not kind of dive in and really go after like our passion for entrepreneurship and really try to make this happen while we're here? So there's a ton of resources. Right now we're actually streaming from the Zell-Lurie Institute at Michigan Ross, which I'm sure we'll jump into more a little bit later. But just the resources within the business school and then amongst the whole university wide across some of the other schools on campus, it's just tremendous opportunity for us to really dive into entrepreneurship.
I'm just gonna quickly say it's top 7 now.
Yeah,
so
there we go. Go blue.
Go blue. Top 7. There we go.
So as you know, both of you know, like a lot of our GMAT club audiences are like taking the GMAT, writing essays. It's a pretty anxious time right now, and the Ross deadline for round 1 was just this week. So I'm gonna ask you a question about how your application experiences was. And then while you're answering, I'm going to go back into the camera so that, I'm also the only one wearing suits. That's the difference between someone who's recruiting for consulting and somebody who's doing entrepreneurship. So I'm going to be on the other side. You guys can start with how your application experience was.
Yeah, so I would say that for me, the most difficult part is really telling a story that makes sense in your essays. So not just at Ross, but across all the universities, they really want to know that you kind of have a direction moving forward. At the end of the day, we're all coming to school to either make a career change or a career accelerator, et cetera, and they want to know that you have that vision. So if you're kind of just coming in your essays writing about, I want to go into consulting, really paint a picture. It's more of an art than it is a science of why you want to go into consulting and what your previous experience brings to the table, and connect those dots on how you're going to make business school really leapfrog you or springboard you into that consulting role or into that brand management role or into entrepreneurship. So you don't just want to hear what you want to do, they want to hear the why behind it. And there's a lot of good videos that we watch in business school about telling that story of why. So really dig into that and kind of paint that picture during your essay, and I think you'll really excel in the application process.
Yeah, for Ross specifically, I'll just mention a few things. I remember going to a recruiting event in Los Angeles, and someone asked Sujin, what's the most important piece of the application? And straight up, she was like, the GMAT. So take the GMAT seriously, do well on the GMAT, and of course, give the essay some time. But GMAT is a pretty significant portion at Ross, in addition to the interviews. So I think the interviews stress a lot of people out. I'd encourage you to try and come on campus if you can. Not only will you get to do the team exercise, which is a lot of fun, but you'll also get to visit Ann Arbor, and that's really what drew me to Ross. As far as the interview process, it's mostly a fit-based interview, and team exercise is more to see how you collaborate with people and how quick you are thinking on your feet. So just relax, go into the process, and I'm sure you'll all do great.
So to talk about Ross, right? And I'm sure you guys were exploring other schools while you were, applying to schools. What would you say sets Ross apart from pure schools?
Yeah, so for me, the few things that kind of really weighed in on my decision, because like you had mentioned, I applied to other schools and really deciding between a few. One was the entrepreneurial community in Ann Arbor. So if you go to the West Coast, of course, you have Silicon Valley and that area, and then there's some entrepreneurship on the East Coast, but Ann Arbor is kind of like this mecca for entrepreneurship in the Midwest. And just because of the university, there's a lot of entrepreneurial ecosystem here where there's a lot of resources. And the Zeller Institute really brings that kind of all together and is kind of the connecting hub for all of that. So I kind of actually filtered my rankings by top entrepreneurship schools, and Michigan was actually even higher than 7 in those rankings. So that was one. And then the other two was, as a former engineer, I learned best by doing. And hands down, although I don't go to any other schools, I would argue that Michigan has the best kind of experiential learning by doing through MAP, which you'll get to see in a few months here. But just the hands-on experience and actually action-based learning, Ross had that, and I knew that I would thrive in that environment. So that was another selling point. And then the third, which is not very academic, was just kind of this community. I was from Chicago. I was really debating going to one of the 2 Chicago schools, but I knew that kind of being in a city, it would be almost like a commuter experience.
Right.
And I wanted to dive into like almost this college bubble, and being in Ann Arbor, like no one's from Ann Arbor. You come here to go to school. So everyone's meeting new people, and there's the same 5 bars that you go to at night. There's like this like little like 5-mile radius that everyone stays in, so you really get to know your classmates. And then not to mention the football games, we have the bus and the tailgate, and the basketball games. We were in the national finals for March Madness, and just like having a cool sports community and a really good college campus, it was a selling point for me, and I'm not ashamed to say that.
Yeah.
Well, Dale, you took all my points. Pretty much the same reasons, but I guess just to add, one thing that really drew me to Ross in addition to this is just how collaborative the university is. Meeting people, people really care about each other, people really want other people to succeed. There's no sort of competitive nature like, oh, we're gunning for the same jobs. You never get that sense. And I think that's a really great environment to study in, really great environment to recruit in, and really just a great environment to be in overall.
So it's clear that Dale always wanted to be an entrepreneur, which he's doing. Did you also want to be an entrepreneur when you first came to Ross?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the same goals as Dale as far as entrepreneurship. I was working on a different travel business, and ZLI has a program called Dare to Dream, which kind of is a 3-phase grant program, and they teach you how to do customer discovery, how to do financial feasibility, etc. So we were actually both working on different ideas when we kind of conceived this.
Yeah.
And we decided, hey, we can execute on this now. We don't need the technical skills that our other businesses potentially required. And everyone at ZLI, through their different grant programs and different funding opportunities in Ann Arbor, kind of encouraged us to do that.
So, did you ever have to wear a suit in the last year that you have been here?
Absolutely. So, like I mentioned, you do have a little bit of FOMO, not just missing out parties and stuff, but also you see all these big shiny companies coming. So we both did recruit, but then, as far as internship wise, again, I went back to that reflection, what's my goal? And I ended up not going to like a large company and went to a travel startup as well. So I can, potentially network with people in the travel ecosystem in San Francisco, and it would be beneficial for the business in the long run.
So where do you guys see most of your peers going to for their internship or their full-time roles? Which industries, which functions do they most go to?
Yeah, so I would say the heaviest recruiter at Ross is actually Amazon.
Right.
So I think we send close to 30 full-time people to Amazon each year. So Amazon's really strong on campus. And then like besides that, tech is just growing. So the Googles, the Facebooks of the world, across the board on the West Coast. But also we have a very strong consulting and brand management school. So a lot of our peers are going to MBB school, consulting firms, but beyond that, they're going to the, EYs, AT Kearney's, et cetera, but also brand management. So we're a very strong marketing school, and that's actually what I interned in this summer, was in brand management in Chicago for Tyson. And we sent a lot of people to Procter & Gamble, Tyson, Pepsi, S.C. Johnson, across the board. So I think between tech, consulting, and brand management, those are probably our 3 strongest. But we also have a really strong iBanking community here too. Yeah. And those guys are really quick and early and often, and they get the roles. And Ross really promotes that and is really getting more and more involved into the iBanking community.
I think just to add to the iBanking, it's just by self-selection that it's about 10% of the class. but I think everyone who recruited for a banking internship got one last year. So just kind of talks about the strength of the finance program. They have a fast track to finance for bankers, so take advantage of that if you're interested. And then the finance club really is this network of mentors that gets very close and helps you through the process, which can be kind of gruesome.
Awesome. I'm going to go back to not wearing suits
Yeah.
because I wish I was not wearing one.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing with this?
Yeah, of course. So really, we started this idea as a platform to help students network with each other through travel. We're both very, very passionate about travel. We've traveled all over the world, and we said, why not take travel and networking within business school and connect the two? So our original concept was to do these pre-MBA networking trips. So a lot of students, when they find out that they get into business school, will take 3 months off and they'll go backpacking in Europe, etc. They'll travel the world. But the thing is, like, their friends and family still have full-time jobs. So they're in a weird position where they want to travel, but they don't have people to travel with. So we said, why not let's connect all these backpackers, these MBA students that are going to the Rosses of the world, the Kellogg's, the Boost, the Stanfords, etc., and connect them in that summer and do some like leisure/cultural-based travel experiences, really unique opportunities for them to kind of see the globe. So we launched that last summer. And had some of these pre-MBA networking opportunities. And through that and our partnerships with like GMAT Club and a few others, we were really able to grow our visibility and exposure to students. And from there, we also now have kind of transformed or morphed into a company that's also helping students do their kind of country treks. So you'll soon learn a lot of students will go to Japan trek, Israel trek, India trek, China trek, you name it. Like MBA is a good opportunity to travel. And because of our kind of unique business model that we came up with and some methodology, we were able to offer scholarships and very competitive pricing for these students to go on those treks.
Yeah.
So we've kind of grew from this cross MBA networking platform into that. But now this year we're actually really excited. We're launching corporate treks because of our customer discovery through our Dare to Dream program and whatnot. We found out a lot of students actually wanted to go see companies during the summer that they had off before coming to business school. So now we're offering 3 different corporate treks, one on the West Coast where they'll go visit a lot of the tech companies, the Googles and the Amazons. We're doing one in the Midwest where you'll see some consulting firms and brand management firms. And then we're doing one East Coast track where you could do some of the banking, retail, and a few consulting firms out there and give students that opportunity to not only see those companies, but actually network with other business school students that are going to other universities and grow your network beyond.
And just to add to that, in essence, we realized that companies like World Strides and Intrepids of the world, great companies, but they suck at understanding MBA students' needs. We are MBA students. We know the needs of the student body, and we build a company that caters to that need. We offer unparalleled customizability. Our trips are affordable and just unique experiences that are fun and enrich business school students' travel.
Yeah, so I mean, I just signed up for the tech trek in Seattle. Like, I just wish you guys were doing this like a couple of years back so that I could, like not do like a very rushed trip. I still need to like figure out my contacts or figure out my network. So which schools have you guys started working with already? Because I can guess how schools will love the idea too, because like their students want to go to these places and it sort of gets this off their shoulders.
Right. So I guess like we'll cover 2 points there. The first is the timing is so rushed in business school, and just like you said, like we felt like, okay, we got to go to tech trek, now we got to go to retail trek, we got to go to, and it's like how it would be so much more beneficial if you could come into business school actually knowing what you wanted to do. Like we were in a unique experience where we were kind of entrepreneurship or bust, but like a lot of us like come here not really knowing. You'll write in your essay what you really want to do, but like you don't really know. So we're like, why not give students the opportunity to maybe hash out, like they go on this West Coast trek, see what the culture is like, and they either love it and they're sold, or they say, you know what, that's not for me. But why do we have to wait for business school to do that? So that was kind of our theory and thinking behind what you had just mentioned. And then what was the second question?
So business schools, like which business schools are you thinking about partnering with, and how have they approached this idea so far?
Yeah, so we actually have a student ambassador model where we worked with the top 25 universities to date.
Right.
So we kind of identify 1 to 2, maybe 3 students at each school that really partners with us and kind of helps market us to the students at each school, not only for their country treks, but actually engaging the prospective and incoming students to get in our hub. So we've kind of been working through liaisons at each university Like I said, we started with the top 25, but now we're seeing a lot of interest from global MBA programs
Right.
and also programs beyond the top 25. And like, we're not like exclusive like to just those schools. So we're starting to really grow our scope as we continue to build our brand and get out there.
So I'm going to ask you one more question about this, and then I'm going to move to the back side of the camera again, and then we're going to do the tour. We're going to look
I
at
don't
the
think we told the
buildings.
viewers that we're going to take a tour.
Yeah, we're going to take a tour, and we're going to look at all the cool places. But before that, I also wanted to ask you, how did Ross help you to do the thing that you're doing? Like, which Ross resources that you used for B-School travel, and what should future entrepreneurs who are looking to apply to Ross, what can they leverage? And while you answer the question, I'm going to go to the back of the camera again.
Sounds good.
So I know we briefly already touched upon the Dare to Dream program. It's essentially a 3-phase grant program, and we've gone through all 3 phases. The first one is a grant of $500, ramping up all the way to $5,000. So through that program, we've collected $7,000 of initial seed capital. That's all grant money that has helped us, put that capital to work and invest in our business. Additionally, maybe even more important is the mentorship process. Ross has entrepreneurs in residence who have been VCs, who have been entrepreneurs and exited companies, successful people. So just being able to book a room with them at any point and discuss the challenges we're facing, discuss legal questions, discuss, just what keeps us up at night has been super helpful.
You want to tell them about Zell Entrepreneurs as well?
Yeah, so a program for MBA 2s that we're taking a part of is called Zell Entrepreneurs. It's exclusively for students who are not recruiting and are planning to work on their business full time. So Zell Entrepreneurs is basically a network and community of students at Kellogg, Tel Aviv University, and Ross. It's supported by Sam Zell and comes with a $10,000 grant investment in the business, as well as mentoring throughout the year. You also get a trip to Israel included, where you get to network with the Kellogg students and the Tel Aviv University students and have some information sharing. And lastly, you get mentorship from Sam Zell's right-hand person and get to go to Chicago to pitch your business to him at the end of the program.
Yeah, and then just a few more things I'll add is beyond just the direct resources that Drew mentioned that really help their business as far as capital and the resources. Just Ross is increasingly becoming more involved in this entrepreneurship kind of craze, if you will. And they have programs like the fund, which I'm on, which is a venture capital fund that's run by students that invest in actual companies. And for me, sitting on the other side of the table and being on one of the funds, I really kind of could identify what's important for investors and what not to do and what to do as an entrepreneur. So it kind of gave me this unique position to be on the other side of the table. So I think that's kind of unique to Ross. And then just a lot of our courses and our not every MBA program is structured the way that Ross is, where we have the opportunity to do MAP, which is kind of a 7-week consulting project.
Right.
And I took an entrepreneurial one in Brazil where I was working with a startup of 3 people. So I got more experience to learn about startups, very early stage startup, and really get that experience. And then also in your second year, you have the unique opportunity to kind of pick and choose which electives you want. And we have world-class professors teaching the entrepreneur courses that both Drew and I are right now. So I always say there's no playbook or course that will teach you how to be an entrepreneur, but it certainly helps having those guys on your side and really kind of learning from their experiences as former entrepreneurs.
And one final thing I want to add, a lot of us may be interested in interning at a startup. However, startups don't really pay close to MBA salary. So Ross actually has a internship fund called the Marcel Ghani Fund. I took advantage of it at my startup, and basically ZLI through that program will cover half the cost of your salary. So the company pays half the cost. They get an MBA student. You get to work at a startup at not a high consulting salary, but a decent MBA level salary, and makes living in SF for a summer feasible.
All right. So with that said, we're getting a few questions on the chat. One of the questions that I'm gonna ask you guys is, how do you reach out to alumni and current students who are doing MBA 2 while you're just an incoming student? How do you reach out to them for help? But while we're answering that, we're gonna take the camera out and we're gonna see the Ross building.
Cool. Let's show Ross and we'll answer that question.
All right. We're gonna be shaking our camera a little bit. So if this gets a little dizzy, I hope that's okay with our viewers. Okay, so before we go to the alumni question, where are we right now?
Yeah,
So this is, go ahead.
This is the Zellery Institute, so we'll see it better once we walk outside.
All right.
This is kind of where we hang out and we spend most of our time. This is on the third floor of Ross.
So this is where all the entrepreneurs are?
This is where the smart people hang out.
All right.
The risk takers.
You mean just the people who don't wear suits, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is the Zellery Institute. This is really cool. Okay, so this is like a really cool place that every Rossers know. Can you tell us a little bit more about this stuff?
Yeah, so this is the Winter Garden. So down there, that's where all the students like really collaborate with each other. So in between classes or group projects, this is one common area that you could just grab a table, sit together, and just really kind of work on your group projects together. And then along each one of these walls that you can't really see is like different classrooms and conference rooms that you could book and have more quiet, independent study. But it's just more of an open space to really promote that kind of collaboration. I would argue that Ross is second to none when it comes to like school collaboration and really students willing to help each other. And the Winter Garden is just one like common space for us to do.
Why is it called Winter Garden? I always wanted to know. Do you guys have any idea?
I actually think it's because,
It's always winter here?
yeah, it's always winter in Michigan. I have no
And
idea.
so I was talking to someone at Booth, and they actually have a winter garden as well. So it's
Yeah.
some play on.
This is much cooler. I don't even have to go to Booth to know. Okay, so
But,
where are we
to
going
answer-
next?
Well, let's answer your question about your viewers. Remind me what's
Student ambassador.
Yeah, how do you
reach
leverage
out?
alumni and current students?
So I will say that, it's actually statistic. Ross, not just Ross, but the University of Michigan has the largest alumni network on the planet.
Yeah.
So it's incredible how easy it is to get connected with alumni. And we've really leveraged like the .edu behind our name to really
Yeah.
grow our business in the first place. And it's the weirdest thing. If you put a Go Blue in your subject line of your email,
It's gonna
you
get
will
read a lot
response.
more?
Not 99% of the time, 100% of the time, you'll get an email response back from alumni. So using sources like LinkedIn is really useful to finding out which alumni or which companies or prospective students.
Yeah.
But if you reach out with them with the Go Blue or say you're interested in Michigan, it's unbelievable how much pride people have being in this program. And
Yeah.
having the largest alumni network really helps and really helps you access those.
And another thing I'd encourage you to do, you can go on the Ross website and there's actually a list of student ambassadors.
Right.
You can also see so you can see, oh, Dale's interested in entrepreneurship, reach out to them. You can see who's interested in finance, banking, etc. Whether you're interested in, women in business, you can access all that information. And these student ambassadors are awesome. Dale's actually a student ambassador, so reach out
Me
to him.
too. Yeah.
Perfect.
Reach out to me if
We
you have
have
any questions
multiple.
about entrepreneurship, Ross, brand management. I did my
And leverage that resource because these student ambassadors will also potentially be interviewers. So definitely get to know them and they'll be completely honest with you and give you a full view from a student's perspective of Ross.
Awesome. So where are we going next?
So we'll bring you down. We'll get more of like an inside look into the Winter Garden where everyone's going to be kind of
All right.
see some of that collaboration, and then we'll bring you into Robertson, which is our auditorium, and we have a lot of keynote speakers constantly coming in. Just last week we had the CEO of Twitter that was speaking here, so it's a really great space to really pull together the whole Ross community and have some really these big guest speakers get involved.
So we're gonna get on the elevator. So if the video gets a little choppy, that's not the quality of the Wi-Fi. That's just the elevator.
4-3.
So you guys mentioned MAP. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about MAP? I'm sure a lot of viewers do not know what MAP is.
So MAP is an action-based learning
Ground floor.
the list of your top 15 projects.
Right.
There's about 150 of these projects.
Yep.
And my project was actually in Peru.
Right.
I got to be at the foot of Machu Picchu working with women's empowerment and healthcare nonprofit. Got to learn how to scale that business, how to make it feasible,
Yeah.
and the experience was phenomenal. And it
Okay.
actually really prepared me for my internship because I came in as an external consultant essentially, and Matt really prepared me. So for those interested in consulting or just interested in learning more about how to take that outside view, it was an incredible experience.
I'm just gonna also point to the Starbucks
I
here.
was gonna say.
We spend a lot of money on coffees here.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
But
if you
it's-
want to start a good business and be an entrepreneur, open up a coffee shop in a business school. This line is never short. It's unbelievable. So
I mean, it's surprisingly short now, but it's
Yeah.
never like this. All right, so where are we going next?
So yeah, this is kind of now more of the common space to kindergarten. Like I said, you have a lot of your classrooms right here. There's upstairs with classrooms, downstairs with classrooms, and then there's just like these more or less like smaller conference rooms that you could book through your phone. You could do 2-hour periods and just really collaborate and do group projects in there. But a lot of your time is going to be spent within the kindergarten. You can see a lot of students kind of just studying right now, preparing for those interviews that you are preparing for yourself. We have a cafe right here because obviously we know that a lot of students are spending their time at Ross and they don't have time to go out and get lunch or whatnot. You'll learn when you come to business school, you're going to be busy. So you have the winter garden here, and then you have kind of a convenience store and all of your goods that you need right there. So
I'm going to look at Rob.
Let's go take a look.
Okay, awesome. I love Robertson. That's where I first met Sujin in person.
Yeah. So we have a lot of our kind of like all hands on deck, like team meetings, especially when you first get accepted, your whole class will come in here. And like there's a lot, like we said, there's a lot of pride. So Sujin will kind of rally the troops and get everyone amped up and kind of
section chant. So this is also used for a lot of corporate events. Yesterday, BCG was here for their MBA
I was there.
presentation, and this whole area and outside is kind of booked for networking and presentations.
How many people fit in here?
I think it's close to 500 because it's not just this space right here, but as you can see, upstairs there's a whole other row all the way on the top. So when you get both MBA 1 and MBA 2 students involved in like a big keynote speaker, this room really fills up and kind of really electrifies the speakers.
And just to add some more speakers that came here, Jamie Dimon came here last year, Mark Jacobs came here, did a talk on entrepreneurship and retail business. So constantly bringing in smart, amazing, influential leaders, great opportunity.
And like obviously Stephen Ross comes and speaks a lot.
Yep.
Business school's named after him, but he'll come here. Sam Zell speaks a lot here. So just like when you get those kind of big names come to speak, it's really interesting to see how much this room fills up.
Awesome. So can we do a classroom, do you think?
Yeah, we'll jump in.
It's a Friday, so I hope at least one classroom is empty.
Yeah, I think I don't think that'll be a problem. We could. So what we'll actually do? Do you want to go to Blau or do you want to find a classroom here?
I think Blau is cool.
Wow, cool. So like Ross is unique where they have this big winter garden right here, and this is where a lot of our classrooms. But we actually added just I think 4 or 5 years ago, they added a second building to the business school, which is called Blau after Jeff Blau, who is the CEO of Related Companies. So you kind of just walk outside through these doors, and then we have Kresge Hall, which is connected to Blau. And this is where you kind of have a lot more of your classes, and again more common space to work in. And really get involved. This is actually the offices, so if anyone comes here to recruit.
Another great resource actually is the Kresge Library. It's it's not like a traditional library, it's a digital library, and you have access to these phenomenal librarians and all these resources like PitchBook, IBIS World, everything that costs thousands of dollars, but Ross has access to. These librarians, all you need to do is reach out to them, tell them, hey, I need industry information on travel. I want to learn about, how how millennials travel, how higher education, and they'll come up with all these reports and do the research for you, which makes it really easy.
Yeah, like just the access to some of the tools that we get, like we have access to PitchBook, and like a lot of these tools, if you didn't come to business school, would be costing you like tens of thousands of dollars of like subscription fees. And all of that is available through Kresge. So if you really get
Through which one of these resources did you end up using a lot?
So the Kresge Library, it's on the 3rd floor. And you have like a collection of librarians. So I use them not only for the business, but during MAP, every team gets assigned a librarian to help you with industry research, more secondary research. And actually during my internship as well, I was assigned a librarian that I was able to use. In addition to that, we've done a few VCICs, VC competition. So during that, we've used PitchBook when we're trying to kind of come up with strategies for our business. What are the multiples that travel companies in this space are seeing? Who before? Has there been an MBA travel company before? All this information we're able to get access to on PitchBook, which is a phenomenal resource.
Awesome. Heading to a classroom.
So we'll hopefully pop in
What's your favorite class, Dhruv and Dale? What has been your favorite class so far?
My favorite class is math, but aside from that, I'm actually taking a class with Dale called Entrepreneurship by Acquisition.
Right.
And it's taught by middle market PE guy. That's our professor. And it basically talks about how do you, after business school.
There's a class going on.
Oops, there's a class going on.
Sorry.
Next.
You can raise funds
Yeah.
through institutional investors to acquire a business. Hi.
Dhruv is popular.
And just learn more about PE, learning how to value businesses. So that's my favorite class this quarter for sure.
Yeah, that's a really popular class. Another one that I'm in right now that I really enjoy is venture capital finance. So that's taught by like Dave Brophy, who's pretty much like the godfather of like venture capital in the state of Michigan, and just like really learning about venture capital in that space as an entrepreneur. It's a really cool experience. So this is kind of a classroom. We'll say that this is a unique type of classroom where it's kind of everyone's just facing the front.
Yeah.
As you know, most of our classrooms are the horseshoe
Yeah.
environment, so they kind of have the U, so people can kind of like sit across from each other and parallel with each other, and it really engages kind of class debates where the professor will be in the middle and we'll have people from each side of the classroom take a stance and really kind of articulate their position and really kind of engage in those challenging questions.
Right.
And encourage kind of this like constructive criticism of each other's viewpoints.
And get cold called in strategy, because I've been having that a lot in the last few weeks.
Oh, cold call and strategy is one thing. Cold call and turnaround management is another. That's another good class. Talking about how to be a good GM, how to turn around a company, and it's taught by two professors. One, Jeff Sinclair, who's been at McKinsey for over 30 years, and Bill Hall, who has been sixth in command at Cummins. He's been the CEO of Fruit of the Loom. Been in a lot of top positions in private equity and general management. So great professors.
And really the point of that class is they bring in real life scenarios of companies that are experiencing turnaround today. So it's not like you're reading cases from 1960.
Right.
It's companies that are going through a turnaround today. What's going on? How would you, as the general management, and they like really make sure that you take the point of view that you are that CEO. And how would you and what would you do to turn around that business? So it's really like real life experience, and they're both great professors. And it's the unique only class I've taken where two professors teach it at once. So it's kind of a cool dynamic where they'll bounce ideas off each other, and I think it really helps pull the classroom into conversation.
Yeah.
All right, so we are almost ending the tour. I also want to go outside for a little bit because this is the time in Ann Arbor where you still can go outside. So, might as well use that.
I'd love to actually talk about that while we walk out.
Yeah.
I'm from LA. I've also lived in India, so
Right.
in New Delhi, both very warm climate places.
Yeah.
And
Do you want to go out here or do you want to go out?
For another thing?
I go to
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to Ross.
And initially I was like, oh my God, am I going to be able to handle Ann Arbor? But I really wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone. I wanted to leave California. And honestly, it's not that bad. All you need is a pair of boots, a winter coat, and you're outside when you walk home from class. And I live 10 minutes away. And there was maybe a couple days when I was like, oh, this sucks. But overall, it was actually pretty nice. It's pretty nice to have seasons. Fall and spring are beautiful. And the few weeks where winter is really harsh, you're gone for a vacation anyway. So honestly, don't let that kind of scare you away from Ann Arbor. It's an awesome place.
I mean, I'm from Bombay and we have 2 seasons. It's hot and wet. That's it.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago, so I'm a bad basis point. But like Drew said, don't let the winters disturb you. I actually really enjoy it. And when we're speaking of winter, we actually have an awesome ski trip that we do because we are a travel company. We don't do it, but like always want to promote the amount of like networking and travel opportunities that you'll have, whether you come to Ross or a different business school. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for you guys.
You want to tell them where the ski trip is this year?
Yeah, so we're going to Jackson Hole, which is going to be awesome. Just booked our flights last night, and you get about 100 Rossers that get together and travel to where last year was in Telluride, this year it's Jackson Hole. But, no problem.
And that's like the skiers ski trip, and 100 to 200 students go. But
Right.
Ross also has a weekend trip to Boyne, which is in northern Michigan. And last year we had.
And before we go outside, one thing that we won't won't take a look at today, but just to know that it's here. Ross actually has a gym in the building as well.
Yeah, I go to that gym. It's downstairs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's right downstairs. So it's very difficult to kind of go to like the all-campus gym that all the undergrads go to, etc. So they actually have a gym in the basement. So between classes, you could go get a quick workout in.
Yeah.
They have like a locker room that you can shower,
Yeah.
put your suit in, and then go work out, and then change back into your suit. So it's a really good opportunity. They make sure that they have food here, they got a gym here. They don't want you leaving the business school. You come here to stay busy.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you don't use the gym, everyone who goes to Ross has an opportunity to rent a locker for the year.
Right.
Super helpful, hanging locker, so you can always have a suit and an extra clean shirt lying around when you're spending a lot of time here, changing between presentations and interviews.
All right, so we're stepping outside. I'm not going to go too far out because I'm scared
Green Building is a bar called DOS. MBA's thing, a great outdoor pack, awesome sangria, and just a time to spend with.
And then you could see the business school, like very recently renovated. Like we said, I think in 2013 they did a full renovation of the building, so modern, and they really promote this. Welcome home as your 2 years. It truly is your home, not just like the classmates and all of your friends that you meet.
Yeah.
Truly become your family. I'm not just saying that to like foster this level like as a buzzword. It really becomes your best friends and your family. It's your home, and it just kind of resonates with you. Welcome home, family.
That's awesome. So I'm going to end the tour here. We are almost at great having you guys. Really hope you have a lot of success with biz-school travel. And I'm going to see you guys again.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
if anyone has any questions, I know that some of them were popping on the feed and we didn't get to answer them. Feel free to reach out to us and ask us questions. Info at Beastman Second. So we're happy to answer any question for Ross and just business school and all.
And if you're interested in the corporate treks, like we mentioned, we're going to do this before MBA start. Go to our website, www.cooltravel.com, there to get more information. And thanks so much for listening.